All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Yahushai, Hashem, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And this is just going to be a quick response. I was watching this video that was done by the elder Manat Zakba on here. Musclehead Christian misses the point of Numbers 23 and 10. And just a disclaimer, my laptop's been acting up, so in terms of screen sharing, hopefully it doesn't do it, but sometimes it just like randomly cuts off the screen share. So Lord willing, it doesn't do that, and then we can get through this lesson peacefully. But anyway, it'll be a quick lesson. But I wanted to I'm first gonna play this clip here, but it goes to show you, man, just like the elder said in the video, you got a lot of these so-called Christians. They just hop on here and they'll like, you're gonna hear them. You're gonna hear the guy say it, but it shows you they don't study, right? They don't read the scriptures and they don't actually study, because this guy getting on here to make this video right here, so-called disproving our doctrine, really is making a fool out of himself to anybody that knows the scriptures, because his point is completely baseless, right? And I'm gonna play it and show you why. So let's get into it.
People believe you have to be of a certain skin color, ethnicity, race, whatever you want to call it, to be able to serve God, okay? But that's far from the truth. I was having dinner with one of the pastors from my church a couple weeks ago, and he brought something to my attention that I completely overlooked. God actually used a non-Israelite, a non-Jew prophet named Balaam to bless the 12 tribes of Israel and Moab. He's the only prophet in the Old Testament that's a non-Jew, non-Israelite, and had a...
So I'm going to pause it there real quick. So basically, he's trying to go at the angle of, oh, this is a prophet that was outside of an Israelite, and trying to sort of put him in the same league as the rest of the prophets the Lord set up. And try to show that the Lord could use, now we know the Lord can use heathens. He can use whoever he wants to do whatever he wants. Balaam was not a prophet of Israel. Okay, Balaam was the kind of prophet he was a diviner. Okay, he used practices on the left hand side. Okay, the Lord used him for this purpose, but that didn't make him of any special category. And as we go through these precepts, you'll see that this guy tries to make it look like Balaam's story ended at just blessing Israel because the Lord told him he had to bless Israel. No, it didn't. Because his demonic ass he still wanted the money, right? And we're going to go into the precepts to show you why Israel ended up slaying his ass, because through him, Israel ended up going off anyway. Okay, so much for being a prophet of God that wasn't an Israelite, right?
Direct line of communication with the Most High. Balak, the king of Moab, was petrified that the 12 tribes of Israel were camped in his land. He was scared because he knew the Lord was with him, because he just brought them out of Egypt. So Balak had the princes of Moab travel very far to Pethor to find Balaam. He wanted Balaam to curse Israel, and he offered his house full of silver and gold for him to do so. And Balaam is an interesting prophet, because you can tell from the context when reading it that he did want the money. He did care for what Balak had to offer, but he ended up blessing the 12 tribes of Israel
Yeah, he blessed them, because every time he tried to go curse them, the Lord would tell him, no, you're going to say what I tell you to say. But did he stop there? Because see, this guy would lead you to think that, oh, Balaam was just somebody who sacrificed the urge for riches, and then ended up Instead of cursing Israel to make money, he ended up turning a new leaf, and then he blessed Israel. And
just as God commanded, and going against Balak's wishes. And I'm going to read you Numbers 23, verse 5 through 11. And the Lord put a word in Balaam's mouth and said, return to Balak, and thus you shall speak. And he returned to him, and behold, he and all the princes of Moab were standing beside his burnt offering. And Balaam took up his discourse and said, from Aram Balak has brought me, the king of Moab from the eastern mountains. Come curse Jacob for me, and come denounce Israel. How can I curse whom God has not cursed? How can I denounce whom the Lord has not denounced? From the top of the crags I see him, from the hills I behold him. Behold a people dwelling alone, and not counting itself among the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob, or number the fourth part of Israel? Let me die the death of the upright, and let my end be like this. And Balak said to Balaam, what have you done to me? I took you to curse my enemies, and behold, you have done nothing but bless them. And he answered and said, must I not take care to speak what the Lord puts in my mouth? So there you have it, guys. This proves that God can use anyone he chooses. Jesus Christ is for anyone that loves him.
You hear that? So he stops it right there. He makes it seem like, oh, this guy Balaam, you know, he was a prophet that the Lord chose, and you know, he was outside of Israel, but look at the righteous thing he did in blessing Israel against the wishes of Balak, and sort of, you know, just casting that money aside, even though he wanted it, but rather to bless Israel. Listen, man, Balaam was a demon, and that's why he got put to death. All right, put it long story short. Now, if Balaam was such a you know, such a good guy, you know, he did such a noble act, why was he not well spoken of? Right? Because the the men of the Lord, the apostles, they knew about him, right? Peter knew about him, but what did Peter say concerning Balaam? Right, let's read that. This is 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 15. It says, which have, let me actually start up 14, right? Making a point here. It says, having eyes full of adultery that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls, and heart they have exercised with covetous practices, cursed children, which have forsaken the right way and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Besor. But wait, how did Balaam go astray if he ended up blessing Israel instead of cursing them? Who loved the wages of unrighteousness. But wait, he wouldn't have gotten any wages. Surely he didn't curse Israel. He only blessed them. Like this you know, this also humble Christian just read, right? It says here, but was rebuked for his iniquity. And the dumb ass speaking with the man's voice, talking about his his donkey, forbade the madness of the prophet. Okay, so why is it that Peter is not speaking well of Balaam? You know, if Balaam was this, you know, this prophet the Lord chose and he did X, Y, and Z, what's going on now? What about Yahushai? You might say, well, okay, well, Peter's a man, you know, the Lord chose Balaam, you know, and had him do this, you know. So what Peter has to say, well, he's just a man. Well, this is what Yahushai himself said. Okay, let's get this. This is Revelation chapter 2, and getting to the point, verse 14. And this is Yahushai speaking against what is it? The church of his message to the church of Pergamos. Verse 14, it says, but I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. So wait a minute. I thought the story of Balaam ends, you know, after he blesses Israel. Then he goes and he lives happily ever after, you know, in the mountains somewhere. No. Why do you think Israel ended up going a whoring after the Midianite women, which pissed off the Lord? Whose counsel do you think that was by? Yeah. So that dude was not, he was not letting go of them riches. All right. Those wages, he said he's going to get a piece. Okay. So this is what Yahushai had to say in reference to to Balaam, right? He said, Balaam, you have those that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel. And we're going to read what that stumbling block was: to eat things sacrificed onto idols and to commit fornication. Okay? Yeah, Balaam did that. For all you Christians that go and watch that video and think that, oh, wow, look, he has such a valid point. No, he doesn't have an understanding of the scriptures. You can see with his giant forehead as he was reading the precept, he barely understood what it was even referencing. Now, real quick, this is the book of Numbers, chapter 25, verse 1. This is what Yahushua is referring to. This is that stumbling block, right? Because he did say he caused Israel to eat things sacrificed onto idols and commit fornication. Numbers 25 and 1, it says, and Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people onto the sacrifices of their gods, and the people did eat and bowed down to their gods. And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. What Balaam did was Balak called him to come and curse Israel, but he couldn't, because the Most High told him, you better not, ninja. You better go ahead and say whatever I tell you to say. And so he ended up blessing Israel. But after that, he said, look, I'm not able to curse them, and you can't directly go at them. That's why he said, how can you curse a people that the Lord hath not cursed? So you can't go after them like this. Rather, this is how you get them. And what he counseled them was, you got to get them to go astray from their God. That's the stumbling block. Use the women. And that's what they did. And they used them. We're reading about it right now. The Moabite women, to entice Israel to go astray from the Lord. And through that, okay, we would be made weak. That's the counsel Balaam ended up giving to Balak to use against Israel. So no, Balaam's story didn't stop at blessing Israel. All right, a couple more. This is Numbers 31 and 14. And I'm going to jump up to verse 19 just to get the context here, right? It says, and the children of Israel took all the women of Midian captives and their little ones, and took the spoil of all their cattle and all their flocks and all their goods. Jumping down to verse 14, and Moses was wroth with the officers of the host, with the captains over thousands and captains over hundreds, which came from the battle. And Moses said unto them, have ye saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against the Lord in the matter of Peor. And there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord. So this guy who was so-called enlightened by his pastor, right? we'll just call him Musclehead Christian, who's so enlightened by his pastor to a matter he completely overlooked about a prophet the Lord chose who was not of Israel, and he went against the riches that were offered to him and blessed Israel. Guess what? You overlook some more. All right, you completely overlook some more, and now you're doing this lesson without studying. You're not showing yourself approved. You're showing yourself a fool, because in the same book in which you're bringing out this information, if you read a little further, you would have found out that the point you're trying to make is not valid. Let's go back and finish that. Numbers 31 and 17. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that hath known man by lying with him, aka non-virgins. And ultimately, what ended up happening when we went into the land during the conquest? What happened to Balaam? Right? This is Joshua 13 and 22. Balaam also, this is as we were taking over the cities. Matter of fact, I'll start at 21. And all the cities of the plain, and all the kingdom of Sihon, king of the Amorites, which reigned in Heshbon, whom Moses smote, with the princes of Midian, Evi, and Recham, and Zur, and Hor, and Reba, which were dukes of Sihon, dwelling in the country. Balaam, also the son of Beor, the soothsayer. So much for being a prophet. Yeah, he was, but he was on the left hand. Okay. It says a soothsayer, or the soothsayer, did the children of Israel slay with the sword among them that were slain by them. Wait a minute. He blessed them though. Why would God allow them to slay Balaam? Wasn't he just this good old prophet who just happened to not be of the children of Israel, but he ends up blessing them, showing you that God can use anybody, and blah, 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 blah. So what was his fate? He was slain. When in reference in Israel's history, Balaam was always brought up in a negative light because he was a demon. Okay. The only reason he blessed Israel was because he had to. The Most High, he didn't have a choice. When you read the account, it tells you that whenever he would go up, the Lord would say, listen, you're going to say what I tell you to say. And then after that, okay, he still wanted the riches. That's why Peter said what he said, that this guy was greedy. He loved the, how did he say it? Who loved the wages of unrighteousness. And that's why he went and counseled Balak to cause Israel to go off using Midianite women. Okay. So just wanted to do that quick response to this this video here, because it just goes to show you all the more, you know, these guys, they come on here, they don't actually read the scriptures. Okay, we read the scriptures. We're not gullible. Okay, we go into the scriptures, we understand what we believe in. That's why we're fully persuaded in the things we believe in, the things that we teach. So, you know, if you just pick up the book, oh, your pastor told you this, and then, oh, wow, it was so profound, I had to do a short, 30-second TikTok video on it. And now you come out looking stupid because you didn't do the due diligence and study and find out, wait, actually, hold on, what angle are you trying to come at this from? Because that's not valid. But hey, such is the sad life of a so-called modern day Christian. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm going to end it here. Just wanted to do a quick response to that. But Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodesh. Until next time, Shalom.